I'm just driving St. Catherine Street this Saturday morning. It's pretty early, so hopefully not much traffic. I guess the stores are not yet open. It's 9 something, before 9. I'm starting with East St. Catherine, the place, the area where I think it's just starts to be interesting. On the left side here we have Alexis Nifon Plaza. It's an inexpensive plaza. It's, I don't know, it's this area, it's a little bit cheap, I think, but perhaps the most interesting is this forum here. It's called Forum, but go inside. I think it's the old Pepsi Forum now. I guess it's named HBC or AHBC, and there was at least a nice movie theater inside, so I recommend you maybe just walk inside and check it out. There's I think it's a cookie shop also. It's interesting. Now this is a area that starts having those restaurants. This is a very students area. It starts about here. I'd say this is Chomedey Street, so maybe just I recommend you have a walk. This is a different area than others from Montreal, because we have the Concordia University. Concordia means lots of English Canadians, but also lots of Asians, especially from China, Arabs also, several countries, but you find a lot of restaurants on both sides, on 200-300 yards walking, many of them inexpensive, a lot of Chinese ones, but it's really very various. It's changing from restaurants to another one. It's really tiny locals, not big ones, but it's really diverse, very diverse, and most of the time very inexpensive too, especially if you come from New York. They are building a little bit of things around the place. There are a lot of, on the left side, a lot of apartment buildings with students. It's a very young area actually, a lot of young people here. Yeah, so give it a try. I'm not sure, maybe not all restaurants are. I would recommend you, before going into any restaurants in a less expensive area, maybe just what I like to do is just hit this one on the left side right here. It says Noodle Stars, are very popular, but I rather prefer to go first to the bathroom, because you never know the how clean are these restaurants, how safe the food is actually. I'm not saying it's a bad area, it should be pretty safe, but you never know, and because management can change from year to year, you never know. Always go to the bathroom first. That's what I do, or sometimes I just have a peek to the kitchen counter, kitchen area, on the floor. Check the bathroom. Is it clean? Are the floors clean? Is it you know, or is it you have a lot of power tail on the floor or stuff like that? It means they don't really care about cleanliness, and that maybe you want to check for another place at that moment. They are removing the snow right here. So yeah, I definitely, this is the area where I lived in, and I really liked it. Walk also, it was a nice restaurant back in the days, not expensive, but again the management changes all times, so you never know. What else? I think you got a internet cafe somewhere here. Internet cafes are really rare. Sushi, maybe check the sushi one on the left side here. Internet cafes, I said, are pretty rare in Montreal. It's pretty difficult, but there are some shopping centers, especially on St. Catherine, the main one near the Paramount Theater, that have free wireless on the whole shopping center area. But other than that, it's pretty hard to have Wi-Fi here in downtown, but you have that, I guess. On the right side, by the way, this one is Jean Coutu, is a drugstore where we buy most of you know, shampoos and stuff. This area here, I recommend you go inside. This it's with glass, like it has glass on the outside, but inside There are several restaurants, especially Asian one, pretty I'd say pretty genuine ones. Now we have one of the buildings of Concordia University on the left side. You have two Tim Hortons. If you guys are into Tim Hortons thing, just pause for a second here. Yeah, homeless people. Yeah, we have two Tim Hortons. Tim Hortons. Maybe I'll walk into one of them, but give it a try. You know, it's like a brand, Canadian brand. It's a restaurant with very inexpensive coffee, which the coffee, it depends on the taste, of course, but it's decent. It's basically the same as McDonald's coffee, but it's very, very inexpensive. Also has donuts. Again, the donuts, I say, if you get there in early morning when the donuts are only a few hours made, a few hours before, they are fresh, they are okay. It's just inexpensive donuts, like $1 each, or 12 for 9, something like this. But it's just the basic donut. It's nothing fancy, but you may want to try them just to feel you've been to Canada. They also have sandwiches. The soup is good, but it's a little bit expensive. They also have sandwiches, but it's getting expensive. At some point you are spending $10 on a meal that's not exactly big. It's a sandwich and a soup, and I don't know, it's getting a little bit expensive. And you can also, most of the times, what we do here in Montreal, this is the police station here. We have cops waiting. Most of the times we prefer eating in what's called is not called, but there are like dish restaurant that they put you the food in your dish and they take the dish to your table by yourself. Especially those are Arab restaurants, falafel and stuff like this. The food is really tasty, really good. Very little chance you'll get bad food in those restaurants. It's fresh and you eat for 10-12 bucks, and it's really, I think that's the best option here. Much better than eating Tim Hortons and stuff like that. So McDonald's, they don't offer hamburgers if you're looking for that, Arabs. But so now we're entering the main, if you want to say, Sainte Catherine area with the main boutiques and shops. This is the I think it's one of the 2 or 3 main roads, you know, like it was back in the days, like 88 years ago or so. Plenty of Quebecers from outside Montreal walking in this on these streets, on these sidewalks, not early, but Saturday and Sunday. They just come to Montreal to shop and just to sightseeing and just walk around, have a feeling of the city. But I say, even though locals do shop here sometimes, first of all, it's very hard to park here, very hard to find a spot. So what we like to do is just walk south and go 2 blocks south and maybe park on the René Lévesque street or something like this. It's easier. You still need to pay about $3 an hour, I guess. Sometimes watch out, because the parking meters on the far away from Sainte Catherine, you cannot pay from Sainte Catherine. They have different letters, different codes, and sometimes you don't have on those are the parking meter. You need to look for them and to get a ticket, and you keep your ticket with you. But sometimes you cannot pay from far away, sometimes on Sainte Catherine. So watch for your timing on the park meter. So yeah, this is an area that's pretty much tourist. Lots of people the weekends. Now it's really early, it's not already open. You have boutiques with food, with clothes, whatnot. Simon's it's a nice shop, has pretty much cheap stuff, but also have brand stuff. And by Simon's we have the that's the Scotiabank now named. I don't really remember names. We have Right on the side here we have a big movie theater, pretty popular in the city. And it's also the place when you go downstairs and you go inside the Subway City, is that the name? When you have a lot of underground boutiques, a long way to walk. It's interesting. Zara, if you are into this thing. Yeah, this is mainly clothes, footwear, whatnot. Sport Experts is a Canadian brand. It's interesting to check it out. Average prices, mostly winter stuff when in winter, and summer stuff you get bicycles, whatnot, skis and so on. It's a very popular store here. So right now we're basically almost at the end of the main Sainte Catherine area. That's maybe the most popular area. We're driving towards a Place des Arts, which is a weird space that was boosted by Quebecers to make it kind of a arts area. I'm not exactly digging it. This is the old L'Abeille store, very old one, and it's worth getting inside, but I don't know, maybe I think sometimes I wonder why haven't they closed yet, but it's just that it's old, kind of old idea, old management, old setup. Right now we're, like I said, we're exiting a little bit the main area of Sainte Catherine. Best Buy. This was an old brand here. Future Shop, I think, was Quebecers or Canadian, and then Best Buy bought it, obviously. So right now you see down there, it's a Place des Arts. Perhaps the only interesting, or at least my taste, Place des Arts, we have shows, is a sometimes like spectacles and stuff like that, but it's not like in downtown New York area, and it's not the same thing. It's just perhaps the most interesting event here is the Jazz Festival. So when you come to see the Jazz Festival, maybe in Montreal, this is where it's happening, and those days are really interesting to be here. But other than that, not much. So let me just oops, what's this going to be here? This was a old poor area in Montreal with a lot of underground stuff, if I can say that. But in the past 20 years, they started building new shops and stuff, more modern, and then the area got cleaner, I guess. So yeah, this is it. You can still walk down there, but it's not the same. If you are looking for a tourist place, Sainte Catherine tourist place is not any longer like this. This is more local, popular but local. All right, I think I'm going now to Saint Denis Street. So let's see this one. I'm on Saint Denis. Saint Denis Street. It has a little bit like two sections. The right northern section above Sherbrooke Street is mainly for locals. I mean, for locals just have a lot of boutiques and restaurants and stuff like this, but it's really locals that came here. It's very popular. But right now I'm going south, and I'm going to cross Sherbrooke. And on the right side of this park you have Saint Laurent. Maybe I'll have a drive on it. So right now I'm heading a Sherbrooke Street. I'll go across it, and that's where the UQAM University is, and that means it's an area with a lot of French people, French Canadians, and also young ones, students. It's a very student area, but also locals come here. Now I'm just going downwards a little bit. And this is a very popular area for in Montreal altogether. Quite a bit of restaurants. In this section here, there are mostly boutiques, shops. But right now, passing Ontario Street, it gets more into restaurant area, and it's very popular here. it hasn't changed much this year. Yeah, and again, this is mostly, I would say, I hope the camera is focusing. It's mostly, I would say, a French Canadian. You may also get to meet English Canadian people, but it's mostly French Canadians here. Yeah. You also have on the left side, if you walk 1 block away, you have a big it's a library. Is that a library or a bibliothèque? I don't know what's the name in English. But it's we can rent books, stuff, films. It's a big place. It's worth seeing, visiting. It's a big building. It's a huge building. Actually, it's pretty modern. This is how it looks. It looks a little bit maybe rough. But that's because I guess that's the student influence to it, and it wants to stay a little bit more low-key a little bit, but it's decent. I mean, it's not a dirty area in any way or something not recommendable, something like this. There's also a movie theater somewhere here, which is playing more not underground movies, more independent independent movies, I think. Okay, so that's the movie theater here on the right side, I think. Atmosphere is another shop, quite a big chain with sports gear. Depends on the season what you find in there, but you can find any fancy things like tents, bicycles. I'm not sure if they sell bicycles here, but if you want, maybe not into the climbing gear, if you are looking for stuff like that, I recommend Lacordaire. Lacordaire is near the Jacques Cartier Bridge, I think. I'll just put a link in the video description. That's the store where most of the people like to get their climbing gear and more specific, not mountaineering, but camping gear and stuff like that. Let's move on. We have a this one. This is Spectacles here, is that the name? But there's really French people shows, having maybe humor shows and stuff like this. This is the UQAM University, a metro station right there, and that's where it's about ending here, the Saint Denis Street. I didn't know, but I just realized you have a nice view of the big well in the old port, Vieux-Port. We built a well and it's like 30 bucks ride, I think. It's worth it, I think. Yeah, maybe I'll have a ride in the old port too. But basically you can walk from here maybe 30 minutes to get there to Old Port. Old Port is pretty touristical too. I'm right now at on Saint-Urbain and the corner René Lévesque. This is kind of more office area, but right now I'm going there's a building here. You notice a Chinese character a little bit and the red light, I guess. Nice. So this is just a street that's crossing a Chinatown, which is you have restaurants on the left side, but the main Chinatown street, it's right there at the green light. It's just crossing like this. It's not a big area. Let me just try to stop for a second in the bus station. It's not a big area. I'd say, let me just take a view of it. This is one side of it. It's about 300-400 yards long. I'd say about it, it's just fun to walk it maybe one Sunday, Saturday once. This is how I get my camera to hook on the mirror. But restaurant wise, it's an area that I'm a little bit skeptical to eat. I did it a few times, but the food safety may vary quite a bit, and you never know which restaurant is the right one, which is not the right one. But it's really just to see different things. You do have those shops with plenty of little stuff from China, not necessarily for like souvenirs or stuff, just whatever you want to get, maybe a stone ball or something like this, you know. There's quite a lot of those, so that's interesting to see. And it's just the feeling of having all those big shop names written in red Chinese characters, and lots of Chinese people walking there. But other than that, I don't know, it's really I guess someone from that did live in China will find those small cookies or stuff like that, and they will like, they will enjoy. But it's not, I won't really brag about it. The one in New York, it's pretty larger and much, I would say, more. You can find shops that are really typical Chinese, like you feel like you are in China, somewhere in mainland China, something like that. So, but it's worth a walk, I guess, just for fun. Going now towards the old port, so I'm going south, and that's the Notre Dame Cathedral. I think I've been once in there. Come on, dude. I've been once in there. It's, people say it's very impressive inside. I'm not sure if it's always open, but let me just turn right, because this street, it's something we don't really hear about it a lot. And this is actually the old financial district of Montreal. This district was live, I don't know exactly the years, but I will guess since the city was built, and up to perhaps 50s or so, when the whole business district moved towards the actual downtown today. So right now we are really close to the old port. Let me just get the name of the street. You notice the buildings. That's why I would suggest you come and have a look, walk here. The street is Saint-Jacques. We cross Saint-François-Xavier, but the buildings here are old banks that were really making money in the beginning of the 20th century. And you notice the architecture is very nice. It's not a lot of them. They are not tall like New York, but it's very different from other area in Montreal, and few people actually know about this street. Maybe few of the tourists, but even tourists don't really come walk here. They stay in the old port or on St. Catherine Street. They still, I think there are still offices in this area, no longer banks, or very little. But it's a very different area from the rest of the city, and it's really worth walking. It's not long, maybe takes 20-30 minutes, and you are really nearby the old port. Let me just see how I can get to the old port right now. And I really like to stop and in front of the entrance of these perhaps older banks. Look how thick the columns are, but look also at all details. I'm not sure what is that, a deco or something like this, but it was here that the money was running in the beginning of the, or early 1900s something. Let's see if I can turn to the old port from here. That should be good. So it's really a few blocks away, a few blocks north of the old port. And yeah, this is the old Montreal. We also have, if you know about it, Quebec City, we have the old Quebec City, but I will definitely say the old Quebec City is much more interesting in building wise, the way the buildings are, than the old Montreal area. Old Montreal area, besides the financial street, the one that we just been on, it's so. I don't think it's really worth spending too much time in here. It's mostly buildings like this. And now we are heading south to get to the old port. Obviously, Old Port, it's a very touristic area, but I think it's worth having a walk there for maybe 2 hours or so. Maybe stop at some restaurant. The restaurants are not exactly into the Vieux-Port or Old Port. They are on I think on this street, St. Paul Street, which is just 1 block away from the Old Port, 1 block north. You can find really interesting, very I would say very warm restaurants, very how to say that, with character, a lot of character. And usually when you hit such places in Montreal, you get good food. Montreal has one thing, is that there's no doubt there are bad restaurants in the city, but the good restaurants in Montreal, it's really tasty. It's very close to Europe, and that's maybe one of the main things about this city. Even North America, you get really a taste of not just European, but there are a lot of Italians, French people, people from Switzerland that moved to Montreal, and they really opened good restaurants. It's not going to be 5 stars or Michelin stars restaurants, but the food is really tasty, and it's just fresh. There's no safety issues with it, and the prices are usually affordable. You may, later years it got a little bit more expensive, but this is the old port area. I think this is where the cruising ship or the cruise ship come here and stay. Right here on the left side there is a museum, Pointe-à-Calière. That's a weird name, but sometimes they do have like a Egyptian or gold treasures stuff. You really need to be lucky to get a good expo, but sometimes there's a good expo. This is the old port area, starting about here, but you can also walk near the water side. So I was saying the price for restaurants in Montreal, most of them, I would say you are going to spend for students plate, a student plate, a fast food student plate, that's $10-12. A entry level restaurant, let's just say one popular one, is going to be about 20 something Canadian. We also add tax, tips, 10-15% tips, and wine, it's more expensive, so you may count on maybe $25 a person with everything included. Then you may move a little bit more trendy restaurants. You are going to spend maybe $35, $40 maybe with a glass of wine. And then you have more expensive restaurants that run for maybe $50-60, but I don't think that's really worth. So let's just keep going on. Saturday morning, cold outside. We have -9 Celsius, not that bad, but that's what, 15 Fahrenheit. The buildings are not interesting, really something to see here, but there's a lot of people normally weekends, summer days, lots of people. You have a few spots with ice cream. You will see those motorboats on the right side. There are a few rides. I was talking about boats. There is a water bus. Is that a name? A weird bus. You can take a ride with it, but I rather recommend something like There are small boats right here on the right side that you can take for a ride, and I think those are also electric boats for about 10-12 passengers, and you are really close to the water, and it's really funny. It takes like 30 minutes ride. It's really not expensive. You can also have a power boat, or we call this rapid, which goes on the waves and jumps on the waves. You need a suit or something like this. I think they furnish you with a suit. But I recommend you. And also we have a big well, which is again around the 30, it's 25 for adults plus tax. It's quite a bit of things to do. Sometimes we call that Tyrolean. We just it's a line, I think. We just slide down on a line. A few restaurants on the right side, but like I said, well, this gets noisy a bit. Most of the restaurants, if you want to supper on something like this, are here. That's Jacques Cartier, that's just a small street, and this is packed with people. It's very tourist, but it's not really tourist trap. It's price wise, it's average. We just film a little bit on the side. Now they are doing repairs, but I guess summertime is going to be finished. But there's all restaurants, all in each side, even fast foods among them. But especially when you go on the back streets like that, this back street has more interesting restaurants, which I really recommend. Take a look, and if you want to eat something like yours with someone, you want to just have a meal and remember it. And right, that building, that's the mayor building. That's where the mayor sits. That's pretty much the area. You just walk there and go back, and it's really not far away from here. It's not really worth going far away more than that. And that's the old port on the right side. Of course, it's winter time, but if it's not too cold outside, you will find people. But right now it's really early morning, like 9:30 something. Let me just keep going on, and I guess we have, oh, that one on the right side there. Perhaps you can see it through the trees, but that's the big well. And people like it, but it's a little bit expensive to go several times. So maybe once it's good enough. But it's this is an area where you may want to spend, maybe just go slowly, really slowly. There's not many shops. It's more tourist shops with souvenirs and stuff. But you may want to spend maybe 2 hours, 3 hours or so. Yeah, that's this is for kids. This is a very nice area for kids. They really like a lot just walking like into the trees. They are not trees, but posts. And let's just make a very nice stop, because there's a police car. And we have, parking wise, Old Port, you need to spend about $20 to get into this parking lot, because on the streets is not exactly fun to find a place, but hey, you are just visiting, so you are going to spend a few bucks. Notice the well is right there. I think you have a pretty good view. It's pretty tall, actually. Not sure how tall it is, and it doesn't look like it's spinning now, but obviously when there's a lot of tourists, it is going to work. I recommend you just walk those sides, go near the water. There's a sidewalk near the water. We have a what's the name again? My vocabulary is not exactly the best, but we have all the motorboats here. And there's another place where they park their boats on the right side, like 20 minutes away. That's Saint Helene Island, where you can go either by the Jacques Cartier Bridge, which is the big one there, either by metro. I'd rather go by metro, because you need to pay again for parking. And that's a very nice island. It's a very nice place to visit. So just take the metro. I don't remember the station for it, but it's really that there was an island there, and it was much smaller. And then when they did the metro in Montreal, all the trucks with everything that was digged from the metro tunnels was drawn into the water then, and the island, I think was the surface of the island did increase by 60% or so. So that's all the ground from the metro stations and metro tunnels. But it's a very nice area in the summertime to walk, maybe 2-3 hours. We have La Ronde, that's the amusement park. It's Six Flags one. It's some rides are nice. They are not the most like adrenaline rush ones, good ones, but the problem is it's pretty expensive. I check online, usually it's almost better to get a season pass for a family of 4 instead of buying a ticket $60-70, how much, and for one entry. But it's just that it's really long, it's a big area, it's a long waiting lines, especially if you go in a sunny day or stuff like that. So weekends, sunny day, almost forget about it. And also pretty expensive. Check online for reviews, TripAdvisor or Yelp, stuff like that. But I'd rather go just visit the St. Helens Island or so. I think it's worth more than going to the Six Flags stuff. All right, guys. So this is it. This is Old Port. It's a pleasant area, pleasant place to visit. It's just not maybe for shopping, but for just walking, people checking, and just enjoying sunshine. And when it is summer heat, it's pretty hot in summer days too in Montreal, even though the winters are really cold. Yep. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I did choose the streets. It's just a personal taste. You notice I didn't went on other streets that are very popular, but it's just because I just don't dig those streets, maybe those places. I try to get something to drive some places that are more like local feeling and the less money making or tourist traps. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a nice day.